Nobody does the job like the United States Marine Corps. From start to finish, the entire Corps operates as a team, one tight, lean, mean fighting machine. And it's only through the hard work and discipline, as a team, that the Corps can accomplish its mission, no matter where, no matter what. Whenever the Corps is in need, we count on our Marines and sailors, both uniformed and civilian, to come through. And for over 230 years, you have always accomplished your mission. And when it comes to procurement of vital goods and services, we need your help. And we need you to know the proper procedures for acquiring those critical goods and services that ensure success. The Corps needs to procure goods and services of all types to fulfill its mission. Anything from tanks, to computers, to medical services, to office supplies, and even flashlights. However, we all need to work together to make sure the proper procedures are being followed for these purchases, and avoid situations where an unauthorized commitment may occur. These unauthorized commitments have resulted in an inordinate amount of time and money wasted due to the use of improper purchasing procedures. What is an unauthorized commitment? It's an act by an employee who accepts or otherwise commits the government to pay for goods or services without authority. It is an agreement that is not binding on the government, solely because the government representative who made it lacked the authority to enter into that agreement. The following examples are representative of how an unauthorized commitment can occur. When a medical unit needed immediate diagnostic facilities in the field, an unauthorized commitment was made for X-ray equipment totaling $1.2 million. 15 months later, the vendor has yet to be paid. The vendor also refused to supply other similar equipment to the Marine Corps, even with a valid contract, until this bill was paid. This unauthorized commitment could have adversely affected Marines in combat. Unauthorized commitments do not always result from an intentional act. In fact, they can result from a simple misunderstanding between the Marine and the vendor, a change in procedures, or a valid contract expiring. In one case, due to a shortage of personnel, government vehicles were having muffler repairs completed by a company outside the gate. Although the contract had lapsed several months earlier, units kept sending vehicles to be repaired, resulting in an unauthorized commitment. It took 4 months of effort to get the vendor paid for his services. Unauthorized commitments can also result from ordering supplies or services from a valid operational contract, but a contract that was not specifically designed to provide those goods or services. For example, contracts require a vendor to provide specific supplies or services at agreed-upon prices. This is referred to as the scope of the contract. One Marine unit was authorized use of a contract which provided the unit the ability to order construction supplies. However, the contract was specifically formed to support the unit's requirement for lumber and plywood. When the unit identified a need for bulk cement to install a foundation, it ordered the cement through the contract with the vendor, resulting in an unauthorized commitment, because the contract did not provide any terms and conditions for the delivery of cement. Remember this. Only a warranted contracting officer can make commitments to contractors, companies, or individuals, or sign or verbally issue orders or requests for them to perform work. If there's not a warrant, an SF-1402 certificate of appointment with your name on it posted on the wall in your workspace, you cannot make any purchases for any amount. This does not apply to government-wide commercial purchase card holders who have been delegated other specific authorities. Even if you are authorized to make purchases for the Marine Corps, you may be limited by what you can purchase and the dollar value of the purchase. Command influence for a contracting officer or others to exceed their authority ultimately harms the Corps. The United States Marine Corps must never issue funds to any supplier or contractor without an authorized contract, regardless of dollar amount. And as much as we value your service, any unauthorized purchases are a violation of law. Consequences can be severe and may include personal liability for the amount of the purchase, suspension from duty without pay, other administrative sanctions, demotion or termination of employment, and a fine of up to $5,000, imprisonment for up to 2 years, or both. The United States Marine Corps is accountable to the U.S. taxpayer, and we must uphold the public's confidence in the integrity of the government's procurement system, which includes competition as the underlying principle. So when the Marines do business, they mean business. Consider this. You wouldn't practice medicine without a license. You wouldn't fly a plane without training. And you must not make contractual obligations of any dollar amount without proper written delegation. It doesn't matter if the purpose of your unauthorized purchase would have obvious approval, and sometimes it's true that the Corps can ratify the commitment you made after the fact, and sometimes they can't. The paperwork associated with the ratification of an unauthorized commitment is time-consuming, detailed, burdensome, and must be signed by your commanding general. Either way, your personal responsibility remains the same, and so do the penalties. Never depend on later authorization. Referring to following procedures, someone once said, "It's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission." That someone was not a Marine. Marines do it right the first time, every time. So remember, if it's not on the wall, don't make the call.
And that is my official training on unauthorized commitments.